Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today we are discussing a 2020 model year limited edition of 88 pieces in diamond-like carbon-coated stainless steel. This is the Girard-Perregaux Free Bridge Infinity Edition from the Bridges collection, incorporating advanced silicon technology borrowed from Girard-Perregaux's sister company, Ulysse Nardin. The watch is substantial, 44 millimeters in diameter. It's 12.6 millimeters thick, broad across the wrist at 50.3 millimeters, with a wide 22 millimeter stance between the lug horns. We'll take a look at it on my wrist. It fills my wrist up. I believe you need a bigger wrist than mine to wear this. As stark as it is, I think 17 centimeters circumference is an ideal starting point. That said, at under 13 millimeters thick with a sloped case flank, it will slide underneath the cuff fairly easy. It's lighter than you expect, with broad sapphire top and bottom and a relatively thin steel case. You could have told me this is titanium and I would have believed you. The strap is a handsome piece. You can see it has a slightly contrasting binding stitch matching the black and rose gold accents of the dial. And then we have a combination of matte finish and somewhat glossy alligator leather alternating to give a little bit of I would call it a distinction in reflectivity or tone. There's a little bit of bolstering or stuffing to build up the volume of the strap close to the case. And you can see Girard-Perregaux used curved spring bars so that the pivot centers of the lugs can be further inboard than the lug tips, and there's no impediment to the movement of the strap because of the curved spring bars. Large rectangular scale alligator leather on the top with a folded edge, a monotone stitch, black calfskin on the bottom. You can see that there is no crimping of the strap. This is a Girard-Perregaux factory strap in outstanding condition. And we have a hybrid clasp over here. It's actually a combination of titanium and then blackened steel. So what we wind up with is a very light double deploying clasp that actually has two separate trigger releases, which is not terribly common. You can see that I cannot pop open this clasp without pressing all four triggers, and that's important because it ensures that this large and substantial watch is not going to fly off the wrist if you are to perform a jerky or sudden motion. And we also have a little bit of distinction on the top with a combination of satin on the flank of the buckle and polish across its upper surfaces. And you can see the case is all satin finished. So satin finished, DLC is different than most black coating. PVD is a process, physical vapor deposition. DLC is diamond-like carbon. You can physically deposit the vapor of a soft, easily marred material on the steel, but you can also PVD diamond-like carbon, which is a very resilient and scratch-proof material. I'm not going to say it's scratch-proof. I'm going to say it's scratch-resilient to a high degree. That, I think, is the best wording, because I hardly ever see scratches on DLC, and when I do, it's generally because someone performed some unreasonable trauma to the watch. Taking a quick look, you can see how much of the thickness of the case is actually this dramatically boxed sapphire, which swells dramatically at 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. Now, the dial is effectively the open movement, as we have an open barrel whose coiling mainspring you can actually use as a sort of unofficial power reserve. You learn to read it with experience. Then there's a drivetrain underneath the motion works that controls the hand. You can see the drivetrain all the way down to a full unlubricated silicon escapement, and then a non-annular balance that is made of heavy metal masses with the body actually consisting of silicon. Ulysse Nardin, which is the sister company to Girard-Perregaux, owns a company called Sigatech, which provides UN's silicon technology. Because GP and UN, once again independent companies by the way, because they share engineering and business offices, it was possible to take some of that UN Sigatech silicon and use it here. A couple of advantages. First, resistance to magnetism. Two, greater resistance to timing deviation due to temperature. That's the advantage of the partially silicon balance wheel. And then you don't need to lubricate the escapement, which improves its performance over the long term. There's no lubrication to dry up or thin out. Now we'll take a quick look at everything that's going on here because there's a lot on the dial. First, you might be surprised to know that's fairly well loomed. It's actually quite easy to read in the dark. Second, we have a combination of rose gold elements. You can see them obviously. And then we have black onyx. There are two sail panels, and the sail panels flanking the drivetrain and the hands are polished black onyx, that mineral with a mirror finish. You can see all screw heads have been black polished with chamfered slots in circumference. The base plate is media blasted. So are some of the bridge profiles. This is part of the bridges collection, and you can see the bridge is an homage to the great tourbillon with 3 golden bridges, a Girard-Perregaux iconic design dating back to the 19th century. And the bridge for the balance is probably the most finely finished part of the dial. You can see satinated across its top, mirror beveled on its edge. And then we have a high degree of beveling, though not quite to the same degree of decoration, on the bridges bearing the hands as well as the drivetrain below. Wheels and barrel are all satinated. The watch is powered by a version of the Girard-Perregaux caliber 1800. So automatic winding, 4 Hz beat rate, 23 joules, 54-hour power reserve. This one's been modified with the silicon balance wheel and the silicon escapement. And it has very little dead angle. When you set the watch, the hands jump almost the second you start to turn them, which is a wonderful thing indicative of precision manufacturing. And again, 54-hour power reserve, because this is based on the Girard-Perregaux 1800 series movement rather than the more numerous lower grade 3300 series. Another thing is that this is objectively a big movement as it spans 36.2 millimeters, so it does a good job of filling this case back of a large timepiece. On the case back, you can also see that we have solarization on the barrel and Côte de Genève on the bridges. We also have a multiply finished, beveled, mirror polished, satinated, and media blasted quadruple finish rotor that is quite attractive. And of course, all automatic winding. You can also see that it is a free-sprung balance with a full balance bridge for better impact against shock and resilience on the wrist. 30 meters water resistant, so though it's a sporty watch, don't take it swimming. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.